There's a simple truth every man needs to know. Women never forget certain kinds of men. Not the ones who buy the flashiest gifts or try too hard to impress, but the ones who leave a mark on her mind and emotions. In today's dating world, where everything moves fast and people come and go like passing faces, standing out as that unforgettable man is the ultimate advantage. If you've ever wondered why she still thinks about that one guy from years ago, or why she suddenly lights up when someone mentions his name, it's because he did things that stuck with her on a deeper level. And the good news? You can become that man too. Think about it. Every man has been in a situation where he liked a woman, put in effort, and still faded into the background. She moved on quickly, forgot about him, and he was left questioning what went wrong. The reality is, it wasn't about what he lacked. It was about what he didn't do. Because when you know the moves that etch your presence into her memory, you stop being just another guy she dated. You become the man she measures others against, the man who left a mark she can't erase. This isn't about playing games. It's about embodying traits and actions that naturally make her respect, admire, and remember you long after you're gone. When you understand these moves, you don't chase her attention. It sticks to you effortlessly. In this video, I'll break down 5 powerful things women never forget in a man. These are timeless, proven, and they work in the modern dating world. Listen carefully, because once you master them, you'll never be forgotten.
1. A man who stays true to himself. One of the strongest impressions you can ever leave on a woman is being a man who stays true to himself. In today's world, too many men bend, twist, and adjust their entire personality just to win a woman's approval. They change how they talk, what they like, even what they believe, thinking it'll make her love them more. But here's the reality. When you stop being yourself, you fade into the crowd of men she has already forgotten. What makes you unforgettable is the courage to stand firm in who you are. Every woman remembers the man who didn't need to wear a mask. A man who says what he means, lives by his principles, and doesn't apologize for having standards. Women are drawn to that kind of man, even if they don't always agree with him. Why? Because authenticity is rare. In a sea of men chasing trends and trying to look perfect, the one who is unapologetically himself is like a breath of fresh air. Think about the men who leave the strongest impression in your own life. They're not the ones who followed the crowd. They're the ones who were different, who stood out because they carried themselves with certainty. Women feel the same way. When you stay true to yourself, you create a sense of stability and reliability. She knows who you are today is who you'll be tomorrow. That consistency builds trust, and trust is unforgettable. It doesn't mean being arrogant or stubborn. It means knowing what you believe, what you want, and not shifting those things just because you're afraid of losing her. Women respect a man who doesn't compromise his core values for approval. Even if the relationship doesn't last, she will always remember you as the man who never pretended. At the end of the day, staying true to yourself is about self-respect. If you respect yourself enough not to change for anyone, others will respect you too. And that kind of man, he's the one women never forget. 2. A man who makes her feel safe. Every woman, no matter how independent or confident she appears, values the feeling of safety when she's with a man. Safety doesn't only mean protecting her from danger. It's about creating an environment where she feels emotionally secure, respected, and at ease being herself. The man who provides this leaves a lasting mark on her memory because safety is rare in today's world. When you make a woman feel safe, you stand out from the men who bring stress, uncertainty, or games into her life. She remembers the calm presence you bring. She remembers how, around you, she didn't have to overthink every word, second-guess your intentions, or feel like she had to compete for your attention. Instead, she could relax, breathe, and just be herself. That's powerful. It doesn't take superhero moves to create safety. It starts with being consistent in your actions. If you say you'll call, you call. If you make plans, you show up. If you tell her something, it matches your actions. This reliability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of safety. Another key part of this is emotional steadiness. Women don't forget the man who remains calm under pressure, who doesn't lose his cool over small things, and who can handle conflict without exploding. When you show emotional control, you signal that you're strong enough to handle life's challenges, and hers too. That reassurance is priceless. On the flip side, when a man is unpredictable, moody, or inconsistent, he creates tension. Even if she's attracted to him at first, the constant uncertainty eventually pushes her away. But a man who gives her stability leaves an imprint that lingers. She'll always remember how different it felt to be around him compared to the chaos others brought. Making her feel safe also means respecting her boundaries, listening to her without judgment, and protecting her dignity in public and private. When you show her she can trust you with her words, emotions, and vulnerabilities, she connects with you on a deeper level. That's not something women forget, it's something they treasure. When you become the man who gives her safety, you stop being just another guy she dated. You become the memory she carries, the one she compares others to, because no matter what, she'll never forget the peace you gave her. 3. A man who challenges her. A woman never forgets the man who pushes her to be better. Not in a controlling or demanding way, but in the way he inspires her to step up, grow, and see more in herself than she thought possible. Too many men fall into the trap of only trying to please women. They agree with everything, go along with whatever she says, and avoid rocking the boat. But that kind of man fades quickly from her memory. The man who challenges her, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, is the one who sticks. Challenging her doesn't mean being argumentative. It means you refuse to let her settle for less than her best. When she doubts herself, you remind her of her potential. When she gets too comfortable, you nudge her toward growth. You bring conversations that spark her mind, push her to think differently, and sometimes even question her own perspectives. A man who challenges her in this way becomes unforgettable because he helps her evolve. Women respect men who don't just yes them to death. They remember the man who held his ground, who had his own opinions, and who wasn't afraid to express them. It shows backbone, strength, and leadership, qualities women admire deeply. When you challenge her respectfully, you show her that you're not intimidated by her, nor are you trying to control her. You're treating her as an equal, capable of handling real dialogue and growth. This also extends to lifestyle. If you're disciplined, ambitious, and focused, she feels the challenge of keeping up with your pace. You indirectly push her to raise her own standards just by how you live. Women never forget the man who forced them to level up, not because he demanded it, but because his presence set the bar higher. Of course, there's a balance. Challenging her should never cross into belittling, controlling, or making her feel small. It's about elevating her, not tearing her down. When you do it right, she associates you with growth, excitement, and progress. That's a memory that lingers. At the end of the day, she won't remember the man who agreed with everything she said. She'll remember the one who pushed her out of her comfort zone, sparked her ambition, and made her believe she was capable of more. That man becomes unforgettable because he didn't just exist in her life, he transformed it. 4. A man who listens deeply. One of the most underrated but unforgettable qualities in a man is the ability to truly listen. Most men hear words, but few actually listen, and women know the difference immediately. When you listen deeply, you show her that her thoughts, feelings, and experiences matter to you. That kind of attention is rare, and it stays with her long after you're gone. Listening deeply isn't about nodding while waiting for your turn to talk. It's about being fully present. When she's speaking, your eyes, your body language, and your focus are on her. You're not distracted by your phone, not interrupting her mid-sentence, and not trying to rush her to the point. You're letting her feel heard. And when a woman feels heard, she feels valued. That memory locks itself in her heart. Think about it. Most people in her life only half listen. Friends may be distracted, co-workers might be impatient, and even family may cut her off. But when she meets a man who gives her undivided attention, it hits different. He becomes the safe space where she can open up fully. She remembers how she could talk to him for hours without feeling judged or dismissed. That's why listening deeply makes you unforgettable. This doesn't mean you agree with everything she says. Sometimes just repeating back what you heard or asking thoughtful questions shows her you care enough to understand. Women value men who remember the little details, like her favorite coffee, the story about her childhood, or the challenge she mentioned last week. These small signs of memory prove you were really paying attention. And here's the thing, listening deeply doesn't just benefit her, it benefits you. The more you listen, the more you learn about her true self, her dreams, fears, and what she values most. That knowledge gives you an edge other men don't have, because you're not guessing what she wants. You already know. The man who listens deeply separates himself from the noise. He becomes the exception in a world full of men who are too busy talking about themselves. Even if the relationship ends, she won't forget the man who made her feel truly understood. Because while she might forget the words you spoke, she'll never forget how you made her feel. 5. A man who shows genuine appreciation. Every woman remembers the man who made her feel valued, not just for how she looks, but for who she is. In a world where so many men overlook the details, the man who shows genuine appreciation stands out like a shining light. Women crave to feel seen beyond the surface, and when you're the one who gives her that feeling, you leave a mark that lasts. Genuine appreciation is different from empty compliments. Anyone can say, "You're beautiful," or "You look nice." Those words are common and lose their power fast. What makes you unforgettable is noticing the things most men miss. Maybe it's the effort she puts into her work, her kindness toward others, or the way she supports the people she loves. Maybe it's her ambition, her sense of humor, or the little quirks that make her unique. When you call attention to those things, she feels truly valued. The key is sincerity. Women can spot fake flattery instantly. But when your appreciation is real, it carries weight. It tells her you've been paying attention, that you respect what makes her different, and that you don't take her presence in your life for granted. That's why genuine appreciation lingers in her memory. It's rare. Another powerful way to show appreciation is through action. It's not just words, it's what you do. A simple gesture like thanking her for something she did, acknowledging her effort, or doing something thoughtful in return shows her you notice. The man who consistently demonstrates gratitude through actions is unforgettable because he makes her feel that her contributions matter. Appreciation also creates an emotional connection. When she feels valued, she associates you with positivity and warmth. That memory becomes anchored in her emotions, making it almost impossible to forget. Even if years pass, she'll look back and remember the man who made her feel special without her having to beg for acknowledgement. On the other hand, men who fail to appreciate women often get forgotten quickly. If she feels unnoticed, taken for granted, or treated like just another face, there's nothing for her to hold on to emotionally. But the man who makes her feel seen, she remembers him forever. So never underestimate the power of appreciation. Don't just save it for big moments. Make it part of how you interact daily. Be specific. Be genuine and let her know you notice the little things. Because when you're that man, you're not just another chapter in her story. You're the one she can't erase. 6. A man who handles distance with strength. One of the biggest tests in any connection with a woman is how you handle distance. Whether it's physical space, emotional space, or her pulling back to test where she stands with you, how you respond determines if you'll be forgotten or remembered. Most men fail here. They panic, chase harder, send endless messages, or break down emotionally. But the man who handles distance with strength leaves an imprint she can't erase. When a woman pulls back, she's not always walking away. Sometimes she wants to see what kind of man you really are. Do you crumble without her attention? Or do you stand firm in who you are? The man who doesn't chase, beg, or lose himself during distance sends a powerful message. I value you, but I don't depend on you for my worth. That strength is unforgettable. Women remember the man who respected the space she needed without falling apart. He didn't guilt her, pressure her, or make her feel bad. Instead, he gave her room while staying composed, focused, and grounded in his own life. That balance of care and independence creates respect. She might not admit it out loud, but it raises you in her eyes. Handling distance with strength also means continuing to live fully. You keep working on yourself, chasing your goals, and enjoying your life. You don't let her absence drain your energy or stop your progress. When she looks back, she remembers how you remained solid, not shaken. That memory alone can spark her desire to return, because it shows her you're not like most men who collapse under pressure. Another part of this strength is emotional control. If she pulls away, you don't react with anger, insults, or desperation. You respond with calmness, self-respect, and maturity. That composure sets you apart. Even if the relationship ends, she'll carry that image of you as the man who never lost himself. Distance reveals character. And when you show her that you can handle it with strength, you become the man who stands out in her memory. She may forget the ones who chased, begged, or argued, but she'll never forget the man who stayed strong, respected himself, and gave her the freedom to choose. 7. A man who leaves her better than he found her. The men women never forget are the ones who made a real difference in their lives. A woman can date many men, but the one she always remembers is the man who left her better than he found her. This isn't about material things. It's about impact. Did you add to her life? Did you inspire her to grow, feel stronger, or see herself in a better light? If the answer is yes, you've carved your place in her memory forever. Leaving her better than you found her means you weren't just there to take. You gave something valuable. Maybe it was encouragement when she doubted herself. Maybe it was guiding her to make a tough decision. Maybe it was showing her a standard of respect and treatment she had never experienced before. Whatever it was, it changed her in a way that stayed with her long after you were gone. A lot of men focus on surface-level attraction, but that fades. What doesn't fade is the emotional and mental impact you leave. If she felt more confident, more motivated, or more secure because of you, she'll always think of you as a turning point in her life. That's what separates forgettable men from unforgettable ones. It doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's just consistency, encouragement, and being the man who believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. That kind of support builds a deep imprint because it's tied to her personal growth. You become part of her story, the man who contributed to her becoming stronger or better. And here's the powerful part. Even if you're no longer in her life, she'll carry that growth with her. Every time she remembers how far she's come, she'll remember the man who helped spark it. That's not something time can erase. So as a man, always ask yourself, when she looks back, will she say she was better because of me? If the answer is yes, you've already secured your place in her memory. Because at the end of the day, women forget the men who only took from them, but they never forget the man who gave them something lasting: growth, strength, or self-belief. If you want to be unforgettable to a woman, focus on the actions that matter most. Stay true to yourself, make her feel safe, challenge her to grow, listen deeply, show genuine appreciation, handle distance with strength, and leave her better than you found her. These aren't tricks. They're powerful ways to create a lasting impact. When you embody these traits consistently, you stop being just another guy in her life. You become the man she thinks of, respects, and remembers long after everyone else has faded. Be that man, because women never forget him.